Today is video 5 out of 6 in my series, My Favorite Things on the Appalachian Trail. I've already done 4 other videos in this series, my favorite hostels, views, food, and gear. And I have one more in this series that I'll be putting out. But in today's video, I'm going to talk about my favorite towns on the Appalachian Trail. I think the common thought when you're doing a through hike is that you're just out in the woods for months on end. And for the most part, that is true. But a lot of doing a through hike is going into towns. It's going into towns to get your resupply. It's going into towns to just take a break from being outdoors every day, especially if the weather is bad. And there's no better trail to be able to do this on than the Appalachian Trail. There are so many towns and places that you can get off the trail. You can pretty much get off the trail about every other day. So what I've tried to do is pick one town from each state, with the exception of 2 states, but I'll explain that a little more later in the video. I do have, though, some honorable mentions, but I did try to just narrow it down for this video. The reason this was one of my favorite trail towns is because it was the first town that I came to on my through hike. It had resupplies, it was walkable. Now it is located about 14 miles from the Appalachian Trail. So I did have to get a shuttle to get there. You'll end up coming out at Mountain Crossings, which is an outfitter. There is a hostel there. They do have resupply options. So you don't necessarily have to go into Blairsville, but if you're someone who, say, doesn't want to stay in a bunk or in a hostel and you want to go into a hotel or something, they had good resupply. There was several restaurant options. There's actually a clinic there if you were to need it. I might be just a little biased about this next trail town, but the next one on my list is Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I did live and work in that area for several years. It is about 15 miles from the trailhead, from the Appalachian Trail. You'll come out at Newfound Gap, and there's plenty of people who are willing to give you rides into town and things like that. And the one thing I think that's pretty cool about Gatlinburg is it is so different from about any other trail town on the AT. You have the opportunity to go into this town and do touristy things while you're out on this trip, but I just think it's kind of cool that, like, you go through aquarium. I mean, you could do things like that if you wanted to, but they do have a really awesome outfitter that's located right as you come into Gatlinburg from the trail. It's the NOC, the Nantahala Outdoor Center. It's awesome. There's plenty of options there. They're very hiker friendly. They do have a grocery store there, a post office. It is walkable. There's plenty of hotels, plenty of restaurants, some really great places to eat. The next town on my list is Hot Springs, North Carolina. Now, North Carolina does have some great trail towns. I have to pick Hot Springs because it's pretty iconic. It's right on the Appalachian Trail. You walk right through the town. They have these like really cool little AT logo plaques on the as you're walking down the pavement. And there's plenty of hostels and restaurants, some really delicious places to eat, plenty of places to stay. There's an outfitter. There's post office. And then if you are coming through that town at the right time, there's what the trail was named after, the hot springs. And there's these hot tubs that you can go and soak in and, you know, soak your sore muscles. Another unique trail town that is right on the AT is Damascus, Virginia. I think everybody knows about Damascus. Yes, it is home of trail days, but there's plenty of outfitters. Like, it's right on the trail, which for me, that was always a plus. If you went through a trail town that had kind of everything you needed right there, I just love that. One of the reasons that Harpers Ferry makes my list of favorites is the fact that, again, it is walkable. It's right off the trail. You walk through the town to hike along the AT. It's a very historic town, and there's a lot of history. I think that makes it very interesting, and it was kind of neat to go through this town and read a lot about it. Just the way the town is set up with the buildings and the narrow cobblestone streets, I just thought it was super cool. There's like a train that goes through the town. It's got all the things you need. The outfitter, resupply, restaurants. Delaware Water Gap in Pennsylvania makes my next favorite town on the AT. It has, again, all of the things, outfitter, restaurants. Actually, it has one particular restaurant that is in my food video, which I talk about. It's a bakery style. I just really enjoyed that. There is a couple hotels there you could stay at, pretty reasonably priced. You can reach this town. It's only about a half a mile off of the AT, but the post office is on the trail, and there is an inn that you can actually stay at as well that's like right off the trail. But half a mile you can walk and get to the outfitter and all of that. Pawling, New York is the town that I ended up staying in for a few days. I had head basically covered in poison ivy, so I had to take a few days off, and I just really enjoyed my time there. There's actually a train that runs directly through the town that will take you into New York City. So just an hour, it's an hour ride into New York City. So I thought that was pretty cool that that's there. I mean, laundromat, places to stay, plenty of restaurant options. There's a Walgreens, and there's a few resupply places. It is about 3 miles off from the Appalachian Trail to get into Pawling. So you could technically walk there if you wanted to, but you can't get a shuttle. There is shuttles available. There's actually Ubers available as well. North Adams, Massachusetts is the next favorite trail town on my list. I just really like this little town. I ended up staying at a hotel called Willow's Motel. They were super hiker friendly. They actually ended up giving me a really good rate. When I went through Massachusetts, I slack packed the state due to their restrictions on overnight camping, and they gave me a really good, reasonable rate, especially considering I was there in the fall in Massachusetts. It's also walkable. There is sidewalks. There's restaurants to eat at. There's resupply options. Manchester Center, Vermont is the next trail town on my list. There's plenty of things there. There's a clinic, there's an outfitter, there's post office, I mean, all of those things. And I did not spend a whole lot of time in the actual town part, but I was in Manchester Center. I ended up staying at the Chalet Motel. They were super friendly, super nice, and it just rained a lot during the time I was there, so I didn't really get to get out and do any walking or anything. But there's a shuttle driver in the area that will pick you up very, very, very reasonably priced. His name's Charlie Gallant. He was so nice. He was just the nicest person, him and his daughter. And I even got to meet a little baby goat, and it was so cute. Lyme, New Hampshire is such a lovely, quaint town. It has a post office, a few very nice places to stay, including Dow's Country Inn, which is where I stayed during my visit there. There are several great restaurants to eat at, and there's also this really cute little general store. It has a variety of resupply options. The town is also walkable, and it's very hiker friendly. It's located about 3 miles off of the AT, but the people at the Dow's Country Inn shuttle me back to the trail. It is such a cute little town and definitely worth the stop. The last favorite trail town on my list is in Millinocket, Maine. It's a small little town, but it really did have a lot of things. It has a grocery store for resupply. It has actually like a little convenience store, gas station type thing. But man, the prices were so cheap. I mean, I was so amazed at how cheap it was. There's lodging there, the Appalachian Trail Lodge, which they're super nice, super accommodating. They have an outfitter there. There's actually a clinic, which is where I ended up going to get my poison ivy taken care of, and that worked out so well. There's ice cream stores and plenty of places to eat. It's walkable, and I think particularly if you're a southbounder, then you definitely want to stop there, because for one, Appalachian Trail Lodge has a great a great food drop that's reasonably priced, and if you're going into the 100 mile, you want a food drop. If you're northbound and you're hitting the end of the trail and say you're having some bad weather and you really don't want to have to summit on a bad weather day, you can get the Appalachian Trail Lodge to pick you up and then take you there and stay in Millinocket, you know, till you get a good day. And it's pretty cheap to get a bunk there. I did not mention a town in New Jersey or Connecticut. The reasons why: New Jersey, I didn't actually stay at any town. It's a pretty short stay, like 30-something miles. So I never actually ended up going into a trail town in New Jersey. So I did have one to put on my list. And then the reason why I did not put a trail town in Connecticut is because I didn't stay anywhere in Connecticut. I did go through the town of Kent and through Falls Village. I got off at Falls Village, but I didn't stay there, and I didn't really spend a whole lot of time in either town to really say much about it. I did eat at Toymakers Cafe, and which was pretty cool, but the Toymakers Cafe is now closed. And as promised, I'm just going to give some honorable mention towns simply because these were also some of my favorite little towns that I went through. Like I said, I didn't have any bad experiences when I was on the trail of a trail town. Franklin, North Carolina, an awesome trail town, all the things that you need: walkable, resupply, outfitter, restaurants, post office, brewery, plenty of awesome hostels, which you can check out my video on my favorite hostels from the AT as well. Hamburg, Pennsylvania has Cabela's, which is where I got my tie-dye Crocs, which I love. There was plenty of fast food restaurants. There was a Walmart. Warwick has a drive-in that you can stay at as a hiker, and it's free. And to me, that was pretty cool. There's a brewery there. There's a grocery store, plenty of restaurants. It's a little bit larger of a town as far as having more options. I think there's a clinic there. My last honorable mention is Rangley, Maine. Not only was this just a cool little quaint town, again, that is walkable with sidewalks and things, ended up staying there with some hikers at a cabin that was right on the lake, and AT Gracie, who is an awesome trail angel, picked us up, took us into Rangley, which is about 11 miles from the AT, but you always have the options of wonderful trail angels and shuttle drivers who will take you into these awesome trail towns. All right, well, that finishes out my list of favorite trail towns on the Appalachian Trail, at least my personal favorite trail towns on the Appalachian Trail. I hope that the background noise was not too loud or obnoxious in this video. If you did enjoy this video, you can check out the other ones I've done in this series over on my channel. I do have one more of these videos that I plan to do, and that one will be my favorite things, aka my favorite memories, the favorite things that I did on the trail. And that one will be coming out very soon. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss that video, hit that subscribe button. Until the next time, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your support. If you made it this far in the video, just know I am so grateful for you, and you are one of the reasons why I continue to make these videos. So until the next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.